Kitul Rishus Harabim. When somebody puts his straw or his olives into Rishus Harabim in order to ferment to become fertilizer. And somebody else got damaged stumbling over them. Chai benisko, so the guy who put out the start to rot, to ferment, is chai in the nesek. And anybody who comes to acquire this stuff, which is put out as fertilizer, acquires it. It's kind of like a knas that we constantly the person who put it out to Shusarabim, that whoever comes along can acquire that fertilizer. Somebody turns over a piece of excrement to Shusarabim, and subsequently somebody else is damaged by that. You're liable for that damage. When you acquire the hay or the rotting, the fermenting hay or the fermenting olives, what were you zeichen? In other words, somebody else, Reuben let them out. Shimon comes along and is zeichen them. What do you zeichen? The base Rabbi Yanim, Rabbi Shimon. You're not zeichen the actual straw or olives. You're zeichen whatever enhancement occurred since the time they were put in Rishus Harabim. We're zeichen in the difference on value as fertilizer from the time they were put in Rishus Harabim until now. Shmuel Amar Begufan, Shmuel said, no, you're zeichen the whole thing. Once you pick it up, you get the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel. Chazal said, since the sky was bad by putting it out, so they gave it to you instead. Okay? Chizkiah Amar Bushavcha Panel Iskos Ba. You have to turn it over in order to acquire it. Milsa the Chizkiah Amar Chizkiah teaches us Hamatalchli Niklim Ba'aficha, a new principle which is not found anywhere else in Bavli, Yerushalmi, and even the Yerushalmi, the Lieberman brings down the Sugi and the Mai argues. The Bavli holds that, and the Yerushalmi and the Mai says that you acquire the responsibility by turning over the nezek, but you don't actually acquire the thing itself, right? Here it says that you acquire metalchin themselves by turning them over, which is a new concept. Okay,
making a kinyan.
Making a kinyan by turning it over, yeah.
But that's not your intention at the time.
What?
That's not your intention as you're turning it over, is to make a kinyan.
No, you did. To be zeicha, but you weren't makbiyet, you just turned it over. Normally you say that Agba is a kinyan, here we're saying that Aficho is a kinyan. Okay, so that's a chiddush. In fact, by Yerushalmi, this is a Dara Pasha that Aficha works, even though nobody else ever heard of this before. By the Yerushalmi here, it's a question, can you acquire metalchin by dragging it? Greater is dragging, right? So, Omer Rabbi Bun Bar Chir says, near and dvarim, yes, you could acquire it, but by mudim, only stuff which is made to drag, such as pillars, uvoros kashim, and tough leather, which can be dragged on the ground without undergoing significant damage. Aboboris rachin, but if it was light skins, and therefore it's dragged, when it's dragged across the ground, it's damaged. Lo kanat shek b'yadar koina, until you pick it up. The fact that you drag it is not enough of a kinyan, right? Dragging is actually a form of meshicha, right? But here we're talking about specifically dragging something, as opposed to pulling the reins of an animal, such like which are the classic term. Meshicha is usually not associated with the dragging thing.
Now, are you dragging here because it's too heavy to pick up? Or
yeah, it's too heavy to pick up, and it's through.
Pick it up,
so that's a question, right? If you could pick it up, does greater still work? Some Rabbi Yaakov said, Laida Pashta, this matter can be resolved, Ashitasan Rabban, according to the rabbi's opinion about the sea. What's the opinion? Ben Sora More Mau. Now, this actually starts off not being relevant. It'll come back around to relevancy later on. This is a question which nobody had, not found anywhere else in Bavli Yerushalmi, and in fact, it's so not found that it's difficult to make sense out of it. But I would like to change the gears, like the Yerushalmi does, to Gneva Shnia. Now, Ben Sarmor and Rabbi Chai Ben Sarmor, you have to steal once, get warned, steal again, and the second time eat the meat and drink the wine which you stole, or steal money and buy meat and buy meat and wine to eat and drink for the money that you stole. So the shaila is, what happens in the second gneva? Again, I'm changing gears so you're Sameach does. Or since this is part of an act which ultimately leads you to a death penalty, right, as a ben sor mora, so so that we say killing rabbin even on the earlier stage of the gneva itself, because eventually it can come to chiyuv misa. So it says let's start from here. If somebody steals his friend's knapsack, he takes out on Shabbos through Shusar Rabbim. Chayav, he's liable. Shekvar is chayav b'gnevas kis ad shlo kotshlo v'Shabbos. He's chayav b'gnevas kis. Literally means before Shabbos begins, but that's what it means over here. It's chayav for stealing before the chiyuv of Shabbos devolves upon him. Because when does he become a thief?
He takes it out of the shus.
That would be simultaneous. We don't want it to be simultaneous. When does he become a thief?
Shabbos begins.
When he picks it up. When is Yom Shabbos?
When he goes out.
When he carries it out. So therefore it's not simultaneous. So everybody's chayav to pay, and afterwards chayav misa. So the same thing by Ben Sor More is chayav to pay initially, and then afterwards if he eats and drinks, so he's chayav misa as well. So that's why I said the Ben Sor More is chayav to pay.
Theoretically, you could say it's even the Geneva Rishon after a Ben Sor because eventually, if he does it a second time...
Yeah, it's possible to say that, but the truth is that the first part of one he is penalized independently with Malchus. So we could have, so then we really should have spoken about Malchus, not about Misa. But theoretically, it's possible to stupid it. So in any event, so it says the Gemara, the law Basrais Misa, isn't he going to eventually get Misa for this, right? Nevertheless, excuse me, lo basayis misi v'seimer chayiv, and nonetheless he's liable to pay kefil. Because so to here, avo bisha basayis misi, even when you when v'etsar mora, even though eventually going to get the death penalty, but for stealing, chayiv is going to be liable. Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yeshua Tdisa Kedaitin. This is going like Rabbi Yeshua, according to this line of reasoning, who holds the Tani Amoitzi Avo Bishloi Nia Chayev. By Otzah, even though there was no Hanocha, you're liable. The Kavasah says to Amoitzi Abishlo Nataloti, and on the other side, just like you don't need Hanocha, when you took it out, even though you didn't have a mind to take it out, when you picked it up, even though you didn't have a mind to take it out, chayiv reliable, because the warning only comes at the time when you take it out. Now what he means is that he holds mahalik koim medami. In other words, we're being machar. We're saying really it could be if the gneva is part and parcel of the process by which you become chayiv misa, because the Agba was the akira of the object, that was the uprooting, so that in that case it would be potter, because of Kinlan Rabbinate. But here it's talking about specifically Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua is Malach Kohen B'dam. So therefore, I come Chayiv and Gneva when I pick it up, or when I start, when the become Chayiv in, when I become Chayiv in Hotzah, the last step before I leave Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaYochid. When I become chayiv in Hanocha, the first step I take into Rishus HaRabim, regardless of whether I came to a full stop or not. So according to Rabbanan, actually, if I started walking, let's say Rishus HaRabim began over here at the edge of this table, right? And I'm walking this way, and I pick up an object over here. So this is actually by picking it up over here, this is my akira. When I go out to Rishus HaRabim, this is when I put it down, that's my Hanocha. But so therefore, you can say Kilin Rabbinate if I picked it up at the beginning of the process, and then continue with it without stopping and put it down at the end of the process, say Kilin Rabbinate because it's all part and parcel of the Chiyuv Shabbos. But according to Rabbi Yeshua, picking it up is not the Akira. As I walk out, the last step I take before I exit Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaYochid, that's the Akira. And vice versa, it's not when I put it down that's the Hanocha, or when I come to a full stop, but the first stop I take in Rishus HaRabim, that's the Hanocha, because Mahalik Koim Medami. So I'm just walking as if he's standing. So then when you're Oimid, that's Akira, that's Hanocha. So therefore, quite to him, Taki, you're chayav and tashlumei kefil, says Gemara. Because he holds that the picking up is not part and parcel of the Akira Hotzah Hanocha sequence. But according to Rabbanan, that the Malacha begins when you pick it up, so then you takali bought it because we're not robbing it, you wouldn't have to pay for the object being stolen because that picking up was part of the entire process of Akira Hotzah and Hanocha. Okay? So it says the Gemara there, Tani, we learned. Now why we broke down Gemara actually for this final piece here. It says here, if you were dragging the object out, so you're potter. Because then the Misa Tashlumin comes simultaneously. The Misa Tashlumin comes as it leaves the Rishus HaYachid goes into Rishus HaRabim, right? And at the same time, you Chayim Mom and Chayim Misa. So there the Chayim Mom Misa falls off. But if they didn't come together, it sounds like that if they didn't come together because it wasn't Shabbos, or because somehow there was some other exemption on the Shabbos business, so then it sounds like the Greira in itself makes you a Ganav. Aha! Greira makes you a Ganav. What can we say about Greira? That Greira must be a form of a Kinyan, right? Because it says here by the Greira that we brought down the Gemara just to get to this point. It says here that by Greira, if you're Greira of the on Shabbos, you're potter. Because of Kilim and Amnei. Sounds like the rest of the week if you go over Yotzei, you're Chayiv. Okay, so it must be that Greira is a form of Kinyan. Says Marabolani. Rabbi Yisrael Potter could say, maybe it's about large objects, large pouches, which are acquired normally by dragging. You don't can't derive anything for this for a case where it's a small object and such like. Okay? Says Gemara, see now, the following Gemara till the Mishnah is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. Not that won't have a hard time with it. Because fortunately Lieberman found in the Xaviatis Corial found a new Girsa which makes it work. Although I'm not going to learn exactly like Lieberman, but nobody before Lieberman came along knew what was flying in this Gemara here. Okay, I shouldn't say for Lieberman came along, or this Corial manuscript came along. Okay, so the Gemara says here it's about to be a machlokas Shlakish Rabbi Yochanan, and then doesn't tell us what that machlokas is. So the Lieberman does have to make an insertion over here. One insertion he makes. I will make one change later on, but he makes a change over here. He's adds on, I'm not going to bring you his full change, but he does add the following line. Rav Shimon Lakish Rabbi Yoshia, Rabbi Yochanan Kedaite. Rav Shimon Lakish hold that Rabbi Yoshia, that a mahalech ko'imei tami, walking is like standing still. And Rabbi Yochanan holds not that way. Rabbi Yochanan holds in order to make an akira, you have to stand, to go from standing position to moving. In order to make a noch, you have to go from moving position to standing. There is no mahal kohen metami. Each step in the middle is considered to be part and parcel of the process you began when you began walking, and then when you stop walking. So with that in mind, they asked in this following Mishnah increases. Sometimes they ask a question. Literally means ask a question and bring a raya, but it means you sometimes ask a question, Rabbi Yochanan. Sometimes they ask a question, Reish Lakish from it, depending on the girsa in this Mishnah. And this is the Mishnah. Yesh oichel achila chas, somebody eats one bite. I don't know, bite is the right term, but eats one, let's say, kazais of chalev. The chayiv love arba chatos. And you're probably liable to 4 chatos, v'ashem echad, and 1 asher. Tamei sh'achal chalev. The guy who ate his tamei, that's 1 isser. He ate chalev, that's the 2nd isser. V'unosar was left over, that's the 3rd isser. Minam ukdosh, it's from hektish. That's the 4th isser, and that's one of asham, because if that's me'ilah. But Yom Kippurim, that's the 5th isser. So Rabbi Meir says Shabbos, v'otiu b'Shabbos. Rabbi Meir says it was Shabbos. And he took it out on Shabbos, whatever this oichel was, then it's another chayiv. Well, it's a chayiv another time. Amalei said, Eino Hashem, it's not part of and parcel of our discussion because it doesn't fall to the same category. Okay, when they wanted to ask the Kasha Rabbi Yochanan from this, they asked like this, it says, so Tzio b'Shabbos. The mayor says, if you're a Moitzi on Shabbos, you're Chayet, ain't kan Anoche. Where's the Anoche? It sounds like the Tzor in and of itself. Without the Anocha, now the truth is this is a very easy question to answer. But the one that says sometimes there's kasha, it says Heitzio without even doing Anocha. Where's Anocha? Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Chaim and Shabbos, you need what? You need Anocha. Where's the Anocha? Okay. Now let's take out Lama Amru Eino Min Hashem from here. We'll put it back in a moment. Let's just take it out from here. Okay? When they wanted to bring a kasha on this Rishim and Lakish, they brought it like this, they brought a different girsa. Hotziu, and now here I'm going to put in the stuff from the Ksavit Koryal because here it will go where it goes in. And it's going to, there's a little substantial amount. It should be Messiah Rish Lakish, Hotziu B'Shabbos, V'hini Choi! There was another girsa in the Mishnah over there, they have to actually put it down in order to be chayev. By Rish Lakish, you have to actually put it down, it's going to be chayev. No, Rish Lakish holds Mahalach Koimet, the way you're walking, it's as if you stand still. So why do you have to dafka put it down? That's a kasha Rish Lakish. Okay. So each gear has its own difficulty. If it's Hini Yitzir B'Shabbos, without Hini Chotz, kasha Rabbi Yochanan. So Yitzir B'Shabbos, Hini Chotz, kasha Rish Lakish. Okay, be that as it may. Then the Gemara goes on to ask a different question. And here we plug in what it says before, even though this Koryal has both times, but here we're going to just plug it in over here. Why is it Eino Mi Hashem? Eino Hashem sounds like it's similar, but it's not exactly the same. It's not the same at all, right? It's not the same. What does carrying have to do with eating? The whole thrust of that Mishnah was things that you transgress by eating. What does it have to do with carrying? What does it have to do with eating? Forget Eino Min Hashem. Eino Hashem is a technicality, it doesn't count. It's a totally different Isser B'chlal. You include that, include a chveis, all sorts of different types of Isser, but this, I've seen that. This has to do anything to do with the topic of discussion. So it says the Gemara, according to Ksavit Koryal, Tipoter B'sha'achlo. The reason why Rameir and Ahabnina introduced this case into the Gemara increases, the top case is because we're talking about a case where she actually the guy was walking actually ate the what was he eating? Doesn't say. Whatever he was eating. He doesn't say. So it's Tipoter B'sha'achlo. So achila hanocha and achila is a form of hanocha. That's why it's brought down here. That's why it's Eino Hashem. Because achila is like a form of hanocha. So therefore they say, you're right, achila is a form of hanocha, but still not shaykh our discussion. Because it's a different type of chiyuv. It's a chiyuv hotzah, not a chiyuv on achila itself. But it's takatesis and increases stuff. You down now where the Bavli brings down sugi. In other places it says, achila is a form of hanocha, but Tesis doesn't bring that in Yerushalmi. But according to the Koryal, which you don't have, but I have here, I brought down the slide, it tackles the Yerushalmi B'Fegush. The Yerushalmi saying, why is this case Eino Min Hashem? Why is it just something else totally? But why I say it's not a precise category instead of being something else totally? Because the Tesis is Svara, because Achila is a form of Hanocha. Okay? So therefore, Shaykh the Mishnah about Achila. Now, continuing further, what you do not have. Then Yerushalmi says, Lo mistabra do elo tio b'Shabbos chayev. Why? Rameir couldn't find anything else which made sense except for tio b'Shabbos. Does that mean Hareishol tio? Now pick it up back in the Gemara again. Hareishol tio b'Yom Kippurim yet Potter. I understand why Rameir have to go to Motzi on Shabbos. Let's talk about Motzi on Yom Kippur itself. What was Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is also an issue, right? So now the base of the Gemara's kasha is the Gemara also increases in the Bavli. Rafram, the way there, wants to say there's no din of Hotzah on Yom Kippur. So the Gemara, and then the Gemara ultimately ends up that Rafram's wrong. But that's really what the Yerushalmi is challenging here. Since Rameir changed the case from Yom Kippur to Shabbos, does the Rameir mean that there's no Isra of Hotzah on Yom Kippur? Does he really mean that? So says the Gemara, no, he doesn't really mean that. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yosef Boone says, Asin the America Rabbi Akiva. The reason Rabbi Meir spoke about Shabbos because he wanted to give you 2 more chatos. Because Rabbi Meir has this kakamei mishita, it's only kakamei from our perspective, of course, from his perspective was eminently reasonable, which is that, named Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Meir, the Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Akiva, the Tani who learned Rabbi Akiva, Minan Yom Kippurim Shabbos, B'Shabbos, son of Yom Kippur comes on Shabbos, V'shogagi, unintentionally, also malacha, din malacha, Minai Shechayev, Alzei B'atzmo, Alzei B'atzmo. It's not 1 chatos for the 2, no, 2 chatos, 1 per. How do you know that? Shabbos Yom Kippurim. It's both Shabbos and Yom Kippur, so there are the 2 prohibitions. Rabbi Akiva, it's going to Akiva Shomer, Ein Chayev Achas, Shmuel says you only allowed but 1. Okay, we didn't bring down our Mishnah. Okay, in any event, I'm sorry, we didn't bring down our Mishnah over here, but our Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva, who says you're chayiv shnayim, even for Yom Kippur, sorry, when Shabbos, Yom Kippur, and Shabbos, you're chayiv 2 prohibitions for transgressing. Okay, was that very difficult, Gemara?
Oh, it helps.
Helps to write the manuscript, right? Did you follow it at all?
When did I follow it?
Yeah. Followed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're spoon-fed.
Yeah. But the Gemara is I spent, before I left, spent a long time staring at this Gemara until I finally opened the manuscript and found it actually discusses it. In any event, so the bottom line is that the Yerushalmi here alludes, as far as which are mentioned in Taisus and in the Bavli, about Achila being a form of Anocha, and also about potentially being no Isra of Otzon Yom Kippur. Okay, back to Bava Kamma Sugyas. Halacha. Hey, let me just check why my phone keeps on. It really is hot. I don't want to sit here and cook.
Even I took off my jacket. Or you know what I have?
Right.
It's comfortable. Well, you're working up a sweat.
Right. We're being fed. Okay. Says more about it. Shtei kador. Notice it's back as I said about Bava Kamma. Shtei kadorim shoyu malchim zeh achar zeh. You had 2 juggers. Jughead. There were 2 guys carrying jugs, which are when they're walking one behind the other. Niska Rishon v'Nafa. The first guy stumbles on something and falls. Niska Sheni Barishon. The second guy stumbles against the first guy and falls. Harishon Chayib and Niska Sheni. The first guy is liable to the Nizaka, which occurs to the second guy. Zebo Chaviso v'Zebo b'Karaso. If one is coming with a jug and the other is coming with a beam, Nishbra Karo shel, they're coming at each other. So Nishbra Karo shel zeh b'Karaso shel zeh. If the one guy's the jug breaks against the other guy's beam, Potter. He's Potter, the Baal HaBeam. Why? Each guy has reshus to walk. So since each guy has reshus to walk, so therefore there's no liability. Okay? It's like 2 oxen which damage each other while they're both walking, reshus to rabbit. It's no chiyuv. Rabbi Elma has Maushi Iten Mar Larishon Shus Kedam Midah. Does the first guy felt there's even enough time to get up? In other words, before he let's say it takes 3 seconds to get up. So is he putter during those first 3 seconds if somebody falls against him? Or is he chayiv even during those first 3 seconds? Was that clear? Question? But maybe he's honest on those 3 seconds because he fell and he didn't have time to get up. Maybe not. So the more the olam.
Is there any question about negligence, why the first person fell?
What?
Is there any negligent factor?
Yeah, but we're not dealing with that. I'm sure there could be, but we're not dealing with it. So that says the Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yochanan Taylor Rishus Al Kedami, the Rishon Shus Kedami. Of course, in the first 3 seconds he's potter because at this time he could be involved in getting up. The shah is like this. Let me start with Do Ella. It makes sense to ask me now. Sheni vehelach. When the second guy on, Mao la Sheni litin shows Kedami. Does the second guy liable during the first 3 seconds after he goes down, or not? On that, the Shemina Me'adon, that we want to bring a proof from here. Hakadorim Ma'malchim Zachar Zeh, if you have 2 guys with drugs, and they're walking one behind each other, right? Not one at each other, but one behind each other. Niskal Rishon Menafal, the first guy stumbles and falls. His friend comes and stumbles against him and falls as well. And then the third guy comes like a chain reaction, right? Like dominoes. Third guy comes and stumbles against the second guy and he falls as well. The first guy pays the second guy, the second guy pays the third guy. However, it was a pile up and they all fell on the first guy, then he pays for all of them. And they're all liable for the nezakin of the next person in line. And the potter in this case, because each guy becomes a bor, and a bor is potter on the zakim of kelim. Only chav in this case, adam and behema, right? It comes here and says that if they warn each other, in other words, as the first guy warned down, he said, Yankel, I'm going down, don't follow me, you'll trip over me. So then he's potter because he did what he could, which is the modern equivalent of putting on your brake light. That's really what it is. Okay? Signaling to somebody back off. And if you don't back off, then he's potter, right? So it says the Gemara, if you have donkey drivers following each other, the first guy stumbles and falls. I'm sorry, this is chamorim or chamorim? I skip. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's only one word, and it's basically the same pronunciation. Chamarim means donkey drivers, not the donkeys themselves. That'll be the next case. They followed each other. And then the first donkey driver, I assume with this donkey, fell, stumbled and fall, and his friend came and stumbled against him. And fell, the third guy comes, and he also stumbles and falls. This is the klutz convention. Right, the first guy pays the second guy, the second guy pays the third guy. They all fell because the first guy, Kulan, then he pays for all of them as well. We're not finished yet. You have donkeys without their drivers, riding one behind the other. If the one donkey falls down, and his friend comes and stumbles against him and fall. Maybe if it's 100 secrets, they're all chai to each other, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and so on and so forth. Those who, however, that all are off the hook. So it says the Gemara, Tani. 1 second. Yeah, so some said Kulan Chayam and some said Kulan Pturim. They're all potter. On Rabbi Law said Bandamar Chayam, and he says you're Chayav. It's not Machlok, it's not Chayav. There are two different cases. It's where their masters made them crouch. So then, in that case, there's a chain reaction of liability. Why is that? Because everything is interlinked. Now it should be Ma'adamar Peturim. Who says you're potter, that's because he holds Bishanoflu. We're talking about I'm putting in words now. Bishanoflu instead of Noflu. Because we're talking about when he fell, Ein similar Adam. In that case, there is no onsim for human beings, Yesh onsim lebehema. Not like it says here. That there is onsim for a behema. So the bottom line here is that, I'm sorry. I have to go back a line. Rabbi Lo, Mitchell serving Rabbi Lo. I think I got the case mixed up. He says your chai b'shir b'tzum b'aleim is when the owners made the animals crouch. When they're chamorim, not chamorim. We have two cases, chamorim and chamorim. Where the donkey drivers and there aren't donkey drivers. Where the donkey drivers are the more of the Elam. Right? Everybody's chayiv. Where there aren't donkey drivers, it's a behema. Behema is not muedes. Especially not to fall in holes and become boros. Behema is a permanent what? It's a tam. Oh, permanent, but as long as it is a tam, right?
You mean for walking?
Huh. Well, actually, what do I mean by walking?
A beam is a permanent, it's a tam until he becomes a muad. For Nisachim.
No.
You mean in this case?
Because in this case he's onus. He can't become a muad to stumble.
Okay.
So he's either going to always have to pay all, or always pay nothing. Not half. Is that clear?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I understand you're not, Tam and Muad is a din in Karen.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There is no concept of muad here.
Right.
An animal is onus.
Tam either.
Yeah, okay, you're right. I was thinking about that. That's the thought crossed my mind. There's no concept of tam. There can't be a concept of tam because tam is only character. Right. What it means is here, other muad l'olam, but behema is not muad l'olam. But that's what it means to say, right? Not that there's a tam. Okay, you're right. So David Tertullian says, all right, he says that the animals are liable. Can't be done. There's no such thing as liability for animals. The shiur when their animal masters made them crouch there. And now it should say, man, are Pturim, he says, Pturim, Mishanaflu, talking about since they fell, there is no onus for human beings, so there is onus for animals, so therefore they're not liable. Now, a funny case. Chamorim shiur, skipped, amended and skipped. Chamorim shayu, Rav Echamem Rose. I don't understand the case, but you have a donkey with a bad leg. Okay? What?
Jester from Gunsmoke.
I mean, there was a talking donkey, Mr. Ed. I know. Okay. So, Mano, you got it?
I haven't heard that in years. That's 30 years ago.
Okay. I never watched Gunsmoke, sorry.
Gunsmoke was probably before you were born.
That may be. But it wasn't reruns certainly when I was growing up, but I never watched it. Only Flintstones is about as sophisticated. Now my favorite program, they don't even play it in reruns. My favorite program was F Troop. They don't even play it in reruns.
Oh, that was good.
Yes. So never get to see it. All right. So Nathan. So you have a chamor shiur rav the echamem rose. Ein rashoim la'avor love. You're not allowed to pass over it. Other donkeys can't pass over it. I'm not sure they do. They jump over it. They knock it over. I don't know. But nafal, if the donkey with the bad legs fell, rashoim la'avor love, they're allowed to pass over it. Ma'ar rashoim la'avor love doesn't mean they're allowed to pass over it. Those here love it. You love it. Even the they step on it and they pass over it. So an animal which falls down because it has bad legs, and just walk right over it. That's our state. And it's not considered to be any problem. Why are you making a face?
Is there room to go around?
Yes, but nevertheless. You're still potter. That's what it sounds like here.
Yeah.
You're right, it's a big chiddush, because normally we say if there's room to go around, you talk, I think that's only by Odom, not by animals. A person has to go around, but an animal doesn't have to go around. Okay? So now you meant, if you had two donkeys, one was loaded, one was unloaded. And Rosh Hashanah is only wide enough for one to pass. So Mavirin as Raycon You push aside the one which is empty because the one which is full. There's a famous. They say this is the Gemara which the Chaznish used in order to prove to convince Ben Gurion not to draft Yeshiva Bacham. As he said that we're a carriage which is full, and you're a carriage which is empty, because you haven't proven anything yet, and we have. So therefore, you have to let us go, like it says here, and you have to let us get off out of the army. That's what they say. He said. I don't know if it's true or not true, but that's what they say. He said nobody was in there to hear them speak. Okay, so David. But that's the famous Maisa. One was riderless, one had a rider. You take away the one which is riderless because the one which has a rider. Both of them had cargo, or both of them had no cargo. Yasub Sharmanim, in all cases you make a pshara compromise. Similarly, those two wagons, two boats, one is full and one is empty, might be improved. You take away the empty one and let the full one go by. Both of them are empty, or both of them are full, Yasub Sharmanim, they make a pshara. Period. If you enter a bathhouse, nice and coverly to give honor to the person coming out because he's clean and you're dirty, so he deserves more honor than you do. Right? Also, maybe it was too suffocating in there, so he needs to get out as soon as possible. Right? However, the opposite is true. By base say somebody exiting a bathroom, no se you let the guy coming in go in first because he's got to go. Right? You already went. He's got to go. So that's nice and good. So everything is very pragmatic. Now one guy's coming with his, back to the Mishnah. One guy's coming with his jug and the other guy's coming with his beam. Rabbi Zira asked, Shano vehezik. Now the Shaitor changes this to Shnaim Shiziko. But two people with damage. Let's use the Rabbi Zira's as is in front of us. Shon of Ezekiel. What if it was an aberration the way they were mazik? It wasn't a normal thing. In other words, it wasn't the one guy hit the other. But in some aberrant way it was mazik. So so what's the status? From here. So Chamisha Shashi Yashua al Stafsel Echad. 5 people sat on a bench. Famous case in the Bible. 5 people on a bench, right? And supporting them. Al Stafsel Echad. Another guy came and sat down, and then it broke. He pays for each and every one of them. Okay? In Machmas Kulan Nishbar, then the last guy pays for each one of them. For 1 second. Yeah, the last guy pays if he broke it, right? That's no problem. Right? 5 people sat on bench, survived. Then 6 guy comes and sits on it.
So the first 5 also contribute.
They're off the hook.
Because the 6 have a straw that breaks the camel's back.
Right, so the first 5 are off the hook, right? Umasham Medei Kulam, the 6th guy. Machmas Kulam Nishbar, somehow you can reckon there was all 6 who made the problem, then Kulam Chav, and then they're all liable to pay.
Theoretically, the all 6 did make the problem.
What?
If the 6th guy came and sat down and the other 5 guys weren't there, then it wouldn't have broken.
So that's how Yerushalmi drives me that the shinoi is important too. There was the posted weight capacity. He went over the weight capacity. That's why he's liable. It's everybody was way together, but he's the one who went over. He was Mishane. So too here, if there was Mishane in the Koram Chavis case, whoever was Mishane is liable. Okay.
Mishane in what way?
Well, in this case, Mishana meant that he was sitting where he shouldn't have sat. In our case, Mishana means that somehow he was carrying the beam widthwise, or it's an oversized beam, or something like that. So in that case, he's liable. Okay. Want to tell this beam? Okay. How about Kor Rishon? Now this is where they're walking one behind the other. And first the beam guy is walking, and the other guy is walking behind him. If the jug breaks against the beam, Potter, he's exempt. The beam guy is exempt because, the drug guy should never bash his drug against his car, right? If however, the guy who's carrying the car stopped and his tractor was for machinery. He stopped walking. He just stood there. So then chayav. Then he's liable. Similarly, if you called alcohol and said to the Baal Chavis, he was behind him, stop, potter. This is true, because man is about brake lights. If you have brake lights on your car, somebody plows into you, you warned him. So therefore, whose liability is it? It's his liability, right? That's really what the Gemara is saying here in essence, okay? If he didn't put on brake lights, if he wasn't working, so who's chayav? On the front car. But if he did put on his brake lights and they were working, so who's chayav? The guy in the back car, right? What if the case was reversed? The drug guy's walking first, and the beam guy's walking behind. Nishba chavis bakar, and the chavis broke against the kaira. Chayav, he's liable in that case. Why? Because he should have watched where he's shoving his kaira, right? Tailgate, right. Imam Baal Chavis, if however the Baal Chavis stopped, so then in his tracks, and Mimela, the other guy banged into him, Balter is exempt. If he said to the owner of the yes, that's good. Yeah, the Baal Chavis turned on his brake light also. He said that the Baal Kor is behind him, stop. Chayav. What if he said to Baal Kor stand? Oh, and of course, Baal Kor is chayav. That's right. Saying they're putting on tail lights. That's right. Chayav. So guy back is liable. Chain's up near Zebah Bishtaro. The same thing is true. One guy's holding a candle, the other guy's holding flax. Same idea. Who has to stop, etc.
Why does the Gemara the Mishnah have to repeat the cases? It seems obvious from the first cases.
I don't know. Just change the position. I'm not necessarily. It says locate a Rab and Malikosh's Ram says I don't stand. Where is the guy liable for being putter for breaking drugs? If the whole Rosh Hashanah is full of drugs, there's no way to pass, so then he's allowed to pass over a drug and break it. But Zoom and Malikosh in this case, why is the Baal Kor allowed to break the drug? If the drug had stopped suddenly in the middle, right? The Kor is not Malikosh let the Kor guy go around. So the Gemara gives the obvious answer. Amar said, came and show Amad, Nasa Karen Chavis, Karen Zavis. Once the jughead in front stopped, so then he becomes like a corner. In other words, there's not enough time to see what's coming. That's why the Baal Kor plows right on and bumps into him. He's parter for that. Okay? It's as if going around the corner, you didn't know that there was a chavis behind there. Okay? Two people going to Shizram. Echad Ratz, one was running, whether one is running, one is walking, or they're both running. All these equals that, and they damage each other, they're both exempt. So of course that's a shverchkeit, because normally allowed to run in Rishus Harabim, right? So as more Yesi Abavli Omer, Hayarat Rishus Harabim. Normally if you run Rishus Harabim with Zikr, you damage your chayat. Shina Amin, because you're not doing the right way, and therefore it's aberrant behavior, and you're liable. But Shabbos ben Hashmosho is potter. If you're running home Erev Shabbos before Lichbenchen and who is not, then you're potter. Why? Because Erev Shabbos, what?
Gotta get home.
Then it's derech to run. Because so many people are running with Shus Rabbi Erev Shabbos that it's derech to run at that point.
This is in the Bible also.
Yeah. Army, they said, Hu Yesi Ababli, Yesi ben Yehuda, Hu Yesi Kadnusa is called all these things. Melody Krashmo Kadnusa is called the small one. Shakatan Chasim is the youngest among all the pious ones of his generation. Okay, the interpretations of Katan, whether it means Katan Mamish or something else, but that's basically how we're going to translate it. Okay. Says more mission further. Allah Ches. Hambakir Rishus HaYachid. Somebody who's chopping wood in Rishus HaYachid. He's a Rishus Rabbi, and a splinter flew out, and chip flew out, and it was damaged Rishus Rabbi. Or vice versa, Rishus Rabbi is Rishus HaYachid. He was chopping wood in Rishus Rabbi, and chip flew into Rishus HaYachid. Or Rishus HaYachid, if he knows that Rishus HaYachid went from Rishus HaYachid to another Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaYachid Acher, Chayav for the guy is liable for all these cases. Why we have all these cases? Obviously, because of we're going to learn a special chiddush. But l'maisa, the chiddush here is also that even though it's over Rishus HaYachid, since Adam will the Yolim, it makes no difference where he's going. He's always liable on the damages. Okay? Says if you are standing and chopping wood in your backyard, and your worker came in for some unassociated job and wants his money. So then, v'notza bakas bizikoso, if the splinter flies and hits the worker, chayev, then the owner of the Baal Bais is chayev. V'meis, if however the eved gets struck by the stick and doesn't die, and dies, eno goelo, then the guy the guy who killed him does not have to go into goals. Right? Why does he have to go into goals? The Shardar says because he's curved l'mesid. Because he should have divined where this guy was, right?
Did the Paro have a Rishus to come into Rishus HaYachid here?
Isn't he? I guess so. Yeah. Why not?
Because if he didn't have Rishus, then he wouldn't be chayav.
What?
If the worker did not have Rishus to come into the property,
yeah.
So then he's trespassing. So then the guy that's doing the chopping shouldn't be chayav for hurting the poor or for killing him.
That's the right question. Not yet. We didn't see yet. So the Vatai Rabbi Yechia Potter. Then we learn Yechia says the guy's Potter, right? Which is really what you want to say. Well, please, they're not arguing. Madam Rabbi Yossi, which Rabbi Yossi said that your libels b'sharo. Because you saw him, you have to take a special caution. Madam Rabbi Yechia, that you don't have to take a special caution b'sharo, where you didn't yet see him. Makes sense, right? Says the Gemara, im b'sharo, if you didn't see him, came a chamali kanes chayev. Once you told him to come in, once you told him to come in, you should be chayev. You should be chayev. Because you didn't see him and you didn't take proper precautions. How come you're off the hook? But Rechia says you're potter. Says in a tremendous svara. Came a chamali kanes was he told the guy come in. He heard you chopping wood. He's got to watch himself. If he doesn't watch himself, he's liable for his own damages. If he comes in unannounced, so then it's not your fault. But if he comes in because they come in and you were chopping away, he has to be careful. It's a nice svara, right? Says Manu, Take. So what's the other guy want to do with this svara? Right? What does the other guy do with this svara? Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chia says Potter, sorry. Anarchia, the other one. Rabbi Yossi Rechina said you're chayev. How come you're chayev? How can the guy should have watched himself? Right? The guy who came in should have watched. How come you're chayev? So it says the Gemara, each time that those who say, it's my man, once they came Shamali Kanes, once you tell a guy come in, Nasis Gechatz or Shutzin becomes your partner. It's like when you have a partner, you have to be careful about him. Because he has every right to use the field, so too, once you invite him in, you have to be careful to make sure he doesn't get hit. So it's not Rechayas on him, it's not Rechayas on you. That's the Machokas. If it's not Rechayas on him, so then you're Potter if you killed him. If it's not Rechayas on you, then you're Chayav if you killed him. Right? So it says the Gemara, reason why I say Kim Shamali Kanes Das Chotzer shouldn't becomes like a courtyard of partners. Marbi Yocham Sherviyana shouldn't call him Zem B'Chotzer. They acquire from each other in a Chotzer. V'Chayovin Zeb B'Niz Kosher period. And so therefore here would be the same thing. Chayovin Zeb B'Niz Kosher Zeb B'Niz Kosher Zeb. They're liable for each other's damages. Says the Gemara, how can they be liable for each other's damages? Lo Cheid Amar. What's the case? One second, I forget what the rest of the Gemara's about. Okay, I got it. So the Maribel again, Maribel Shaviyah should be calling Zem B'Chotzer, Chem Zem Nishkosher, Zem Nishkosher, they have to watch out for each other, not to cause damage. Says Marav Lo Chen Amar Rav, Malik or Shusa Rabim. Then Rav said the only time that the guy breaks the jugs is part is if the jugs fill the entire Shusa Rabim. Presumably Malik or Shusa Rabim, I don't understand. Where's the fulfilling all the Shusa Rabim? In other words, why does the guy have to pay? the guy whose splinter broke out, killed somebody or damaged somebody. It's not his fault, right? Or it's his fault. I shouldn't say it.
Would be a tour.
Yeah, but our question is on the guy who was splitting the logs. Why is he chayav? It should be a tour, right? So you're part because he didn't fill the entire backyard with splinters. So Mar's answer is pashut. Mar's answer is he's considered to since the guy is going to walk into your backyard and you're anywhere he wants and your splinters are flying all over the backyard, so that's why it's as if you're filling the entire backyard full of jugs. So in essence, it's the mazik who's filling the back. Normally, filling the backyard full of drugs is a time when the mazik is brought down the nizak, and it's the nizak drugs. But here it's the opposite we're using it for. Lieberman also explains this way. Here we're saying that if the mazik has splinters going all over the place, it's like a nizak filling the entire Rishus Hashanah with drugs. And it's like the nizak is potter in that, the mazik is potter in nizak in that case. Here, fakert, the mazik is liable on the nizak in this case. Right? So that's what we're saying. That since this guy can walk anywhere in the yard, and your splinters are going to go anywhere in the yard, as if the entire yard is full of jugs. Here too, the entire yard is full of splinters. I'm not sure I'm getting this across properly.
Yeah, well, one is active and one is passive.
Right, they're not 100% accurate. That's Lieberman's point. They're not 100% parallel, the cases. Right. And one story about when the nizak is part, and one story when the mazik is chayv. But the idea is it has to be an unavoidable, or what's the word? An unavoidable issue. I don't know what words was that on. So here too, it's unavoidable because that's unavoidable because the entire Rishus Hashanah is full of drugs. So to here it's unavoidable because the splint is flying all over the place. Okay, so therefore in both cases, in that case there's a p'tur because the drugs all over the place. So where are you supposed to walk? In this case there's a chiyuv because he's in your yard and you're letting splinters fly, so you're chayav no matter where they go. Okay, we'll stop here for this evening.